Do you have two souls? If you're here, you're meant to hear this message. We opened a portal live on TikTok called The Looking Glass. This is an alchemical art technique of covering a piece of paper with charcoal and allowing spirits or even deceased loved ones, spirit guides, higher self, to speak to us through symbology, numerology, and geometry. And we're going to talk about having two souls and how this links back to the movie Twilight, how it links to Jesus and Mithra, how it links to the vampire, and how we have to understand ourselves if we have two souls and how to utilize these two souls in our current reality. So Kara is at 12 o'clock with a lion and a rainbow above her head. She is tapping into the energy of Enloe at around 2 o'clock with a spiral above Enloe's head and an egg. There's a hummingbird around 4 o'clock with a holy grail. And there is a dead tree that has been cut with water inside at 6 o'clock. Her children and her spirit guide came forward around 9, 10, and 11 o'clock. And the Christ is inside her body, and this Christ energy has a lot to say to us. The Christ energy is also likened to Odin and Mithra, and they may all be linked together and may be the same energy that is speaking a language of having two souls. Keep in mind the two spirals that Enloe is touching a spiral and also has a spiral on their head, and this spiral is going to be important in understanding the unraveling of our scroll or our spirit, like the golden ratio, and how we have to understand and grow into our truth individually and collectively. We're going to begin by connecting the number 2. The raven, you have 2 ravens on your shoulders. Let's begin with the ravens. So the myth of the raven is that the raven gets shot in one eye, and so that the raven is blind in one eye and can see through another eye. Odin is a story where he has 2 ravens on his shoulders, and he can only see the truth through the eyes of the raven. The raven becomes his ears and his eyes. This is an allegory of him having 2 souls. So 2 souls comes from kind of the myth of the golden compass, where a human has 2 souls, and the second soul is an animal. But if our animal has been cut from us, like the Holy Spirit, the white dove has been cut from us, we have been rendered ignorant and asleep and powerless, and we have become slaves to people who have power. So the story of Mithra is a story of a bull being cut. So the story of being cut from our animal or being cut from our soul goes back to Jesus, actually. Jesus was Mithra. Mithra predates Jesus. Jesus is a newer religion, but both gods were born of a virgin. Both died and rose again after 3 days. Both had a sacred foundation stone. Mithra had Petra and Jesus had Peter. The gods of Apollo, Helios, Mithra, and even Jesus were pictured in mosaics surrounded by a ring with 12 constellations. Mithra had 12 satellites. Jesus had 12 disciples. Mithra is depicted as a sun disk drawn by a white horse, and so is Jesus. How does this connect to vampires? The vampire has 2 souls, according to mythological, and the word transgender comes from Transylvania. The problem with transgender and Transylvania and the androgynous beings is the androgynous ones didn't procreate, they did not copulate. They self-impregnated like Jesus' mother. So the myth goes that the vampire has 2 souls, and there may be some connection to Jesus being both male and female and having 2 souls, because the connection between the vampire and Jesus seem synonymous, or they parallel each other. And the reason why the priests and the Pope are celibate is because they replicate or duplicate the androgynous ones who came from the moon, and the god of the moon was named Sin. So we were born in sin, and we were once both Adam and Eve. This is why Mary Magdalene is shown with 2 fingers up, because Mary Magdalene and Jesus may have been one and the same person. So the 2 fingers pointing up reflects two souls, like this alien with two fingers pointing up, the two souls of the ones who say, drink my blood and live forever. So the vampire says, drink my blood and live forever. Jesus says, drink my blood and live forever. And so we're coming to some truth about Jesus and vampires offering immortality through blood. Now, your daughter has 2 roses on her hair, and I know your daughter passed away, and the 2 roses also reflect 2 souls. Like in this depiction of the Return to Oz, Dorothy found her other half, her other higher self, in a mirror. And so finding that mirror and seeing this mirror, like Bastian with Atreyu, is shown to us time and again that we have another self, and that this other self will help us to see and hear like the 2 ravens of Odin. And so here's Neo Anderson with the white rabbit with the number 2. You have to understand that Neo Anderson has 11 letters in his name. White Rabbit has 11 letters in their name. He's holding up 2 fingers like the number 11. And the number 11 is also depicted as your twin flame, the twin towers that looks like the number 11. 911 is 9 plus 1 plus 1 equals 11. And there are many synonymous parallels to the number 11 being connected to the 2 towers. And you have the 2 candlesticks in your piece that look like the 2 towers. Now, Enloe has the name Mosada on his chest. And Mosada has this temple, and your daughter is shown seated on this ancient temple looking like a Buddha. So there's some connection there. If we disconnect the letter Mo and Ada, we go back to Armenia, where the original god was named Ar or Ara. And this is connected to Mithra, as Mithra comes from Armenia, Turkey, and Iran. So the name Mo comes from Moloch, and Moloch is about child sacrifice. So I may be wrong here about this connection, but the tree that is cut in your piece reflects abortion or child sacrifice or something about this energy that takes your children. And if we connect with the Moloch Enloe energy, we have to be careful, because they will cause our lives to be such that we lose our children, and it's not for the reasons that we think it is. You also have the name Nibiru bowing its head at the broken tree. And Nibiru is connected to the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki wanted to mine gold, supposedly. This is what they say. And they got tired of doing it, so they made a slave race. They made Adam and Eve. And Adam was cut into Eve. So Adam and Eve were once as one, like the androgynous ones, like the Christ, like Mithra. Even if you look at our Statue of Liberty, it looks both male and female. So you seem to have some sort of iris connection to Zeus, and Zeus is connected to Enlil and Inky. And so I'm not really sure about this, about exactly who you're connected to, but I know that Enlil is touching 2 spirals. So Dorothy walked the yellow brick road because her soul, that looks like a fetus when it begins as a spiral, grows like the golden ratio. So there's some kind of story here, like the last Mimsy of the spiral and these ancient pictures of aliens with the spiral, that something happened to us, our souls. We were cut. And this cutting rendered our souls infantile. And we have to grow our souls toward the energy of the number 11. The number 11 is, like the number 2, is the number of the sun. So the sun is connected to the number 111, but it flips every 11 years. And we begin to open our heart chakra and connect with that energy, and that energy grows our soul, like the golden ratio, the golden yellow brick road, the golden sun, the golden age of Aquarius. So Enlil is holding the letter G next to a holy grail and a hummingbird. A hummingbird is the only bird that can fly backwards. So it speaks of time travel and speaks of being able to live forever. Now, there may be a deeper secret to this. For instance, if we have two souls and we pass away in this body, we may be able to rebirth again because of the other soul being somewhere else. So there's something about this, and I've seen Enloe in other pieces where he takes our consciousness and he's like a prison guard. And this prison guard is a guard over the fallen angels and a lower realm, the realm of the spiral, which is a curse or a spell. So I don't really trust Enloe because I've always seen Enloe as being part of the fallen angels. And when we connect with Enloe, they will take our children. They are part of the Moloch energy and the child sacrifice. Now, I don't know this for sure, but this is some of the symbols that are turning up in your piece. So if you look at the arm of Enloe, you'll notice a wall. And this wall is a scroll that has opened within our collective spirit. And we have all grown to such a state and to such a frequency that we are outgrowing the prison guards and we're leaving them behind. So there's a breaking away of worlds. And we have to disconnect from those old prison guards and these old energies and begin to allow the spirit of the lion above your head to be your eyes and ears, and the two ravens to be your eyes and ears, and no longer connect with the underworld or the matrix of the world of the dead. And you're also being told, don't take diet pills. There's a pill that says the word no on it. Your daughter around 9 o'clock is looking at herself in the mirror, and this self in the mirror is a bird with white feathers with a human face. This may be that you have some blue avian energy, or that you come from the Edenites, the bird people, or the Anunnaki. They look like birds. The two roses reflects the two souls, and that when we pass, we go into the mirror of our other self. Just as Dorothy, when she died, through symbolism, the broken and empty house of Dorothy reflected she died. She ended up in Oz. If she wanted to go back to Kansas, you just die again and you reappear on the other side. It seems as if our two souls speak of having two lives parallel to each other, so that when we die, we actually don't experience death. We experience a mandala effect of looking around and the world just isn't the same anymore. And so we bounce our consciousness to a parallel world where things are just different. And they're so different, in fact, that we're scratching our heads going, what is going on here? Your sun is at 10 o'clock and is looking at a 4-leaf clover and is also holding a dandelion. The dandelion has to do with womb health. So take care of your health with dandelion root, dandelion flower, and he's also sending you a wish and giving you good luck with the luck of the 4-leaf clover. Your daughter says that when she died, she went to like a prison or like a place of reflection. She's showing two souls in a prison, so I don't know what this means. And then suddenly she's on top of a temple with the word Mosada, and she's a Buddhist, and she's lived 2 lives, and she is now someone completely different. And she's asking you to release your thoughts of who she was so that you do not keep a thought or image of her as prisoner within your heart, because she's not the same anymore. You also have the symbol of the reishi mushroom, and to take reishi mushroom to boost your immunity at this time for your health. Your higher self is highly intelligent, and this higher self is part of the 7 spirits of God, and she's female in nature. So you're learning from some female emotional energy at this time in your life. And she has some E equals MC square, pi, 3.14, tic-tac-toe symbol that looks like the 1111. And this is all you are learning and awakening through symbology, numerology, and geometry. You are learning to become the master architect of understanding how spirit speaks through symbolisms within your dreams and in your waking reality. So you are in the eye of the needle right now. You're not in the lower realm, but you are in the belly of the whale, learning to hear and see the word of God through those 2 ravens. And this word of divine source is trying to open your eyes and ears to symbolism and numerology and the voice of spirit, so that you become obedient to this voice and you realize that you are more than you. You are half flesh, half spirit, half male, half female. You are the sun and the moon, and you are two souls. So your daughter does at 9 o'clock have a needle, and she's poking the needle in the hand of the person in the mirror. And this is a symbol that she no longer is under the control of mind control of drugs or anything. She is now free with the white feathers on her hair inside a heart. She's sending you love, and your children are not deceased. They are alive. They had to go through the spiral, and they had to grow their spirit, and it was pain, because it takes pain to turn into power and to awaken. Your grandmother came forward with the letter G as well, and for some reason Enloe is holding the letter G. This could be many things, but I don't quite know what that means. The G means geometry, it means God, it means many things, but I think it really has something to do with our mind and our memory not being erased, and that we live forever. We just have to realize that we have two souls. So you have the number 8, which means infinity, but it's a stone, and it makes your heart heavy. And there's a person or a baby, like an infant or a fetus, touching the eye of Enloe. And this is something about this Moloch child sacrifice energy. I don't know what it is, but there's something about being connected to the energy of the fallen ones, and we need to disconnect from Enloe at this time, because they are part of a world that we have ascended away from. They were kind of like our prison guards, and they feed off of us, and they feed off of sacrificed children as well. So we need to disconnect from them for the sake of your health and the health of others around you. But please go within, ask your 2 ravens and your lion for the truth, because I could be wrong. But I want you to look at these symbols and tell me what you think about this, because I've seen Enloe before. I don't get a bad feeling from him, but I've seen that he is part of a prison, the prison system, and the enslaved system, and the system of using our energy and our power and keeping us ignorant. I could be wrong about this. But the Christ and the Mithra symbol at your stomach is really reflective that you have a Christ, Mithra, 2 spirit, androgynous energy within you that must awaken and become powerful for you to step into your truth and take away everything that is false, so that your heart can be as heavy and as light as a hummingbird who time travels and can live forever, and can eat of the fruit of truth, not the fruit of evil. So let's continue to talk about these symbolisms in the comments. And thank you so much, Kara, for what you have to teach us about the vampire. There is a story about the wolf, and this wolf people, they come from Sirius B, the dog star. It's like Sirius Black, the dog from Harry Potter. And these wolf people have the head of a dog, and the wolf people are born of the earth, and the vampire and the Christ and the Mithra are born from Nibiru. They are the bird people, and there was a big battle between them because the vampire ate off of the energy of humans and the wolf people did not. So the story of Twilight seems to be kind of true. So let's talk about this as whether it's truth or whether it's just folly. But the lifting of the veil, it really kind of requires that we just look at everything and take everything into consideration so that we can awaken to truth and come out of this enslaved prison planet dominated by Enloe. If you would like a reading, go to forestfairy.com, forestfairy.com. My name is Mary Moses. Oh, and one more thing. The mirror image is the truth because we were cut in half. So the truth is the mirror. And in the mirror, Enloe is no longer there. You're surrounded by your family, and you are the goddess of the rainbow, and you have the 2 ravens, and you are closing your eyes to truth, and you're listening to your higher self, not any energies that come from the prison planet, the matrix, and the prison system. Look at all these images carefully because you're being asked to study symbology, numerology, and geometry on your own.